EVO. Welcome back to the Devil's Ledger for the week of January 12th, 2026. And listen, if you're feeling a little sluggish, a little foggy, a little like the universe has powered down into low battery mode, good. That means you're paying attention. Because this is it. This is the cold time, the dead time. This is the dead season. It's the heart of winter. The holidays are over, the lights are down, and now we enter that stretch where the world feels quieter, slower, almost suspended. And for at least the next 6 weeks, it's going to stay that way. So, here's my advice. Don't forget Valentine's Day, but stay alert, stay calm, and try to stay inside. All right, let's get into it. This is the creepiest thing I heard this week. So, they tell you, I just told you, that the dead of winter is quiet. That once the snow locks everything in place, once the roads vanish and the trees go black and motionless, the world finally stills. No surprises, no chaos, just cold. But Nova Scotia has a story that says winter doesn't always silence things. Sometimes it wakes them up. It happened in Caledonia Mills, a rural stretch of Antigonish County where the wind doesn't blow so much as hunt you. In the early 1900s, in the kind of farmhouse where the walls are thin, the nights are long, and the nearest help is far enough away to feel purely theoretical, something started happening. And it began the way things always begin. Small, dismissible. A strange smell of smoke when no fire was burning. An oil lamp that guttered as if something breathed on it. A faint crackling sound inside the walls, like an ember trying to remember what it was. But then the first fire started. Not in the stove, not in the hearth, not in any place that fire belongs. A patch of wallpaper simply lit up, as if it had been touched by a match that no one could see. The family put it out fast, convinced it was an accident, until another flame appeared across the house in an empty room, and then another, and then something truly terrifying. The fires, they seemed to become intelligent. They didn't spread the way that natural fires spread. They popped up like punctuation marks here, there, always just beyond reach, always timed to create panic, always forcing the family to chase heat and flame through their own home like prey. They soaked blankets and towels and kept them ready. They draped them over chairs like armor, but it didn't matter. Wet fabric caught fire. Damp wallpaper ignited. A curtain smoldered without reason. And outside, the snow kept falling. Inside, winter's only defense, warmth, was being turned against them. And it wasn't just fire. They reported other things. Livestock found disturbed and terrified. Sounds in the barn at night. Braided tails that no human hands could have braided in the dark. Doors that locked from the inside. Phantom slaps. A presence that seemed to enjoy the attention. People came to witness it. Reporters, police, skeptics. They stayed in the farmhouse overnight, determined to expose a hoax. And some left pale and shaking, admitting they had felt unseen hands strike them in the face. But the creepiest detail, the one that never leaves you, is how witnesses described the sensation right before the flames appeared. A sudden pressure change, a drop in temperature, and the unmistakable feeling that someone was standing behind you, close enough that you could feel their breath. Which brings us to the name the locals gave it, because they didn't call it a demon. They didn't even really call it a poltergeist, but kind of. They called it something simpler. The winter fire ghost. Because in that farmhouse, in the deepest cold of a Nova Scotia winter, the haunting didn't arrive with chains or footsteps. It arrived with warmth. And if you were very unlucky, it arrived with flame. And that was the creepiest thing I heard this week. Moving on. On The Devil Within this week, we're stepping into one of the most haunting and heartbreaking disappearances in American true crime. A 2-part series on the Yuba County Five. 5 young men leave a college basketball game in February of 1978. It's a normal night. They're excited. They've got plans for the next day. There's a tournament, uniforms laid out, alarms set, a routine, a structure, a future. And then they take the wrong road. The car is later found abandoned in the mountains, perfectly functional, not wrecked, not out of gas, a shelter they could have survived in, but they left it. And instead of walking downhill toward civilization, they went uphill, into darkness, snow, and a silence that swallows sound. This isn't a story about a demonic haunting or a killer hiding in the woods. It's something worse. It's a story about fear, confusion, and the moment the human mind stops behaving like a guide and becomes the thing that leads you deeper into the dark. 2 episodes, 2 chapters of winter horror. Then, over on the Ides of April, we conclude our exploration of the quiet death of an empire, with part 2 of the assassination of Tsar Nicholas II, the basement, the gunfire, the sudden collapse of centuries of power. And this week, we examine one of the most controversial and enduring questions left in the aftermath, the theory that Anastasia, one of the Romanov children, may have survived. A myth, a deception, a miracle? Or simply a story invented by a world that couldn't bear the truth? We go there. On Criminal Mischief this week, Carolyn is back with a major update, one that reaches all the way back to the 1970s in the grim case of the so-called torso killer in New York and New Jersey. Carolyn covered this case a couple years ago, but now a new jailhouse confession has surfaced, and it may change the way we look at what happened, or at least change what we think we know about who was responsible. And for this episode, she's joined by Dr. Peter Vronsky, a historian and criminologist who quite literally wrote the book on the golden age of serial killers. It's a deep dive, it's chilling, and it's the kind of episode that will leave you asking the most dangerous question of all. What if the truth has been sitting in plain sight for decades? The boys from Taboo Treasures are still on their winter break, thawing out, sleeping late, playing music, pretending they're normal people who don't spend their lives chasing haunted artifacts and relics that nobody should touch. But they'll be back soon, and knowing them, they won't come back empty-handed. This week in horror movies. All right, this week's pick is a zombie movie that hits way harder than it has any right to. It's called We Bury the Dead. So a military mistake leads to catastrophic consequences, and the kind of cover-up that always begins with a calm voice saying, "We can control this." But these dead don't cooperate. And the thing about disasters, especially man-made disasters, is that they never stay contained. Not for long. Not when panic sets in. Not when guilt enters the equation. Not when truth starts clawing at the walls. It's bleak, it's tense, and it delivers exactly what horror does best. It takes something familiar, authority, control, reassurance, and shows how fast it can collapse. And before we go, another reminder that we have a new daily show on the network. I'm very proud of it. It's called Finding Me with Josh Wolf. So, world-renowned comedian Josh Wolf, he changes gears here and invites listeners into something much more personal. His search for the best version of himself. It's real, it's raw, it's funny when it shouldn't be, just like Josh, and it's the kind of show that will sneak up on you. Because it starts out feeling like entertainment, but then it turns into something that you actually need. So do yourself a favor, check it out. Finding Me with Josh Wolf, wherever you get your podcasts. Now, winter has a way of shrinking the world. The nights get longer, the air feels heavier, and even when nothing bad is happening, the season itself can make you feel like something's waiting, just outside the windows, or maybe inside your own thoughts. So be gentle with yourself in the weeks ahead, rest more than you think you should, speak to someone when the silence feels too loud, and don't confuse the stillness of winter with safety, because winter doesn't always kill with violence. Sometimes it kills with quiet. See you next week on The Devil's Ledger. Hope you enjoy what we offer this week across the entire EVO creative universe. If you're enjoying the show, follow and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening right now. Leave a rating and review. It truly helps new listeners discover the shows and discover the network. Share this episode with someone who loves the dark, who loves the strange, and the historically haunted. And write to us at any time you feel so inclined. info@evocreative.com, and explore the full slate at evocreative.com. And if you're more of a YouTube person, all of our shows have full video episodes. Check out the EVO Creative channel. Till next week, stay calm, stay alert, and stay inside.